Right. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Football Biz. Today we have a new concept. It's called EPL report, English Premier League report, or in Turkish we say Rapor EPL. This afternoon, my guest is Football Writer Association member Jack Lacey. Jack, welcome to the program.
Thank you for having me again, Alpa. It's a great honor, and apologies in advance that my Turkish has not improved since the first appearance, but I am working on it in the background.
Yeah, I already sent you some visuals, Turkish ones. They are quite a football jargon anyway, so there are some mutual words.
It's a universal language.
Exactly, yeah. Right, so to begin with, we will actually focus on Mbaye's performance. Jack, Mbaye was our main striker before we sent him to West Bromwich Albion on loan. And basically Diagne was smashing every single game, and his goal average was 0.88, so it's almost a goal a game, so it's crazy average when you think about he played around over 50 games, like 60 games. So this is a fantastic record, and he was the highest scorer foreign player in Turkish league a couple years ago. So my question would be first, very basic, very general. Can you just tell us about your view on Mbaye Diagne? Do you think his Premier League quality? Do you think his skills is enough for being a poacher Premier League striker? And also, what sort of positive effects or what sort of value he will add on West Bromwich Albion squad?
Yeah, I think first of all, he has already added a lot to West Brom's squad. We can see that in the first few games that he's played. Obviously, scored a goal against Manchester United, a fantastic header. Yeah. Should have definitely scored at least one yesterday against Burnley. Yeah. But his impact has been clear that he's offered the team a lot more of a threat in and around the penalty area. But also, I mean, it's going to be difficult to see him getting the sort of ratios you're talking about that he had at Galatasaray. I mean, that's an unbelievable record. And I don't think any striker, the way West Brom play and just the quality of their squad in general, it's going to be difficult for any striker to score, to have a ratio like that. But I think he's added a lot. I like the way he releases the ball early, doesn't overplay too much, even though he's got that sort of target man presence. It's just going to be about his instinct of goal. Is he going to be good enough in and around just poaching in the penalty area? Because in the Burnley game, just quickly give an example, he ran in behind the Burnley back four. It was a slightly narrow angle. But he decided to pull the ball across for Andreas Pereira rather than shooting himself. Now, I don't know for me, it's like the striker, if you're a 15 goal a season striker in the Premier League, you've got to be finishing that yourself. You're at least having a go, at least getting an attempt on target. So I'd question his instinct a little bit, but overall his impact on the West Brom squad, I've been really impressed with what I've seen so far.
Yeah, I totally agree with you, because the way obviously Galatasaray plays with possession football, whereas West Brom tends to wait and Big Sam Allardyce, he's much more I would say conservative in terms of the formations he tends to use, but obviously, Mbaye Diagne, let's talk about his stats so far. Obviously, he hasn't had many games, but he had 5 games so far. He scored 1 goal, 1 assist. Obviously, he scored against Manchester United right through the Lindelof, and he was about to score 2nd goal. Did you see him against Mbaye?
Yeah. The first goal. His first goal for West Brom, he absolutely bullied Lindelof, physically just annihilated him in the penalty area. I think the commentary said that at the time, the English commentary anyway. And like you say, he gave Maguire, I don't think he's always that comfortable against a sort of physical, mobile target man striker anyway. And he should have, Diagne should have had another in the second half, because as you said, he completely took Maguire off the ball, bullied him, and only a good save from De Gea kept him from scoring a second. Yeah. But it was his. I think his. It's obviously going to be difficult in a Sam Allardyce team for him to create chances. And although I've been impressed so far with his overall movement and willingness to drop deep and link the play, I did see at one point in the first half against Manchester United, his body language was a little bit, he was just sort of complaining, I think, to the defenders about the quality of balls, the quality of the passes that he was having to get on the end of. And I did think to myself, you know, in a Sam Allardyce team where it's very direct style of football, as a striker in that system, you've got to make the best of bad passes, essentially. They're not always going to be perfect to you. And I mean, hopefully we'll see that in time. He'll adapt to that. But he was still a great threat in both games, definitely. Perfect.
So obviously his average per goal at the moment, 0.20. He had like eight shots, and he's like 50% on shot on target, which is not bad. And one of his goals hit the framework. He did around 65 passes, and interestingly, he cleared is like three header clearance he did. So he actually had to help to his defense. And in Sam Allardyce formation, as you said, you got to do it. You have to stay compact otherwise, And overall, how do you see West Bromwich Albion? Do you think they have some talented players, isn't it? So Snodgrass there, he had a fantastic season a couple of years ago, and also there are other players that can assist Diagne, but Mbaye Diagne do need lots of crosses or like through balls. So do you think he would, as far as you have seen in last 5 games, do you think he is now a Premier League standard striker? Has he shown that yet, or do we still need to wait and see?
I think he has shown that he's certainly at the level of being able to offer something different to this West Brom team, and he hasn't looked out of his depth in the games I've seen, particularly in the game against Burnley this weekend, which he was a constant threat running in behind as well. I understand that, like you say, he needs crosses, he needs good delivery, which I'm sure he had at Galatasaray for that. But West Brom have still got some exciting attacking players. You know, Pereira and Phillips were causing Burnley all sorts of problems yesterday, and also that what surprised me was the Burnley defence is probably one of the most sort of cohesive defensive units in the league for dealing with the long pass, the long cross. You know, that's their bread and butter essentially. They can just mop that up, and he still was a huge threat, even despite Burnley being so used to defending against this type of situation. He was still a massive threat throughout the game. And the chance you talked about where he hit the woodwork, I mean, it was a sort of run he was making all afternoon, where it was down the channels, in behind. And obviously, can I just say as well, the game turned undoubtedly on the red card. West Brom had a player sent off not long before half time, which really affected their ability to put players forward and get players forward in attack, supportive attack. But Diagne didn't just stand there and sort of wait for things to come to him or just focus on defensive side of the game. He was running in behind the channels. That led to his opportunity where he brought the ball inside, went past Ben Mee and smashed it against the crossbar. It was really unlucky. You know, it was a lovely bit of centre forward play. And like I say, he was still a threat, even with a side with 10 men and fewer attacking players on the pitch. So from what I've seen, Alpa, he is definitely at the standard of Premier League quality. I don't know if I've seen enough yet to convince me that he's going to be a 1 in 2 Premier League goal scorer in a West Brom team, anyway. But we'll see. He's definitely turned their fortunes around already, though, and they look a lot more of a threat in the attacking scenarios. Yeah, because obviously Galatasaray has invested him heavily when we bought him from Kasımpaşa, another Istanbul team. His overall transfer fee was over 10 million euros. So
I think the Galatasaray management would expect some return in investment. But as you said, if he keeps going and scoring goals and also playing as positive as possible, I'm sure he will create that market for his name. Right. So today we will also talk about another player, Ozan Kabak, and so Ozan originally is a Galatasaray player, so it's from our youth team, and Fatih Terim, our coach, our manager, put him in literally on the first 11 because we had some injuries that time, so we had to use him, but he did perform really good, and he had a fantastic season in Champions League as well. Then first Stuttgart, then Chelsea. First Stuttgart, then Schalke, and obviously from Schalke, I believe Jurgen Klopp follows German league very close, and from Schalke now he's on loan in Liverpool, and obviously Liverpool is such a big team at the moment with Manchester City. They play the most positive football, and last year Liverpool was the champions of Premier League. So Ozan so far had 2 games in Premier League, and first his initial game and then another game, and they lost both games. Liverpool at the moment going downhill right now, but he had a fantastic game in Champions League, which I got to see. He was the man of the match. However, if you put on social media who is the man of the match, if there is a Turkish player, definitely will be, because our population is very high and we are heavily use social media, but he did play really good. So have you seen Ozan Kabak, and what is your thoughts on Ozan Kabak?
So I didn't see his first game, the game against Leicester, Alpa, which obviously there was the mistake for the Leicester goal, which was a bit of it wasn't Kabak's entirely Kabak's fault. It was a bit of miscommunication with the goalkeeper, the sort of mistake that happens. But I watched him fully in full game last night against Everton, a game obviously they lost, as you said, but it's a real, I think it's a difficult situation for him to go into a Liverpool defence that has been hit hugely by injuries throughout the season, and he was playing obviously at centre back alongside Jordan Henderson, who is not a natural centre back. He's literally just been put in that position this season because of the amount of injuries they've had. So it's a difficult scenario for him to go into, particularly as a young man. I didn't realise that he's still only 20 years of age, which I found incredible, considering, like you say, he's obviously your audience will know he's played in the Champions League. Obviously impressed enough against Schalke, I believe, to be bought by Schalke, and it's not as if he's completely inexperienced because he's played at the highest level, but it's still very difficult, I think, to come to England, a club like Liverpool, where any slight mistake the microscope focuses on, and it just gets, it can define a whole performance. The first Everton goal last night, he potentially was at fault because he headed the ball out, and when he went to drop back, he wasn't in line with the offside line. But again, it's difficult. He's not played. It's only his second game in the league, third game overall. The communication with Henderson is probably still at the learning stage. They're both. I've played centre back, and it's very difficult when you striking up the new partnership. I'd say it's the hardest position in the league, on the pitch, actually, to go straight into. And so it was. He did get caught out for that first goal. Richarlison, the Everton striker, ran in behind him. But it was just, I think it's just one of those things. And he did look slightly nervous before that. The very first seconds of the game, Everton played a long diagonal ball down the field. He was underneath it. It was a very windy night last night as well, which I know, is it shouldn't affect performance entirely as a defender, but it is very difficult when you're playing in the serious wind in England. And he headed it behind for a corner kick when he could have just let the ball roll out for a goal kick. And it just shows that I think he's just still at that stage where he is a little bit nervous. He's in an unfamiliar back four that hasn't settled together yet. Henderson, in fact, went off injured in the first half, so he's going to have more change going forward. But like you say, he looked very good in the Champions League game in midweek. So there is and if you've played at this level, by the time you're 20 years of age, you're clearly not a bad footballer. I think he's just been a bit unlucky since his move to Liverpool. Yeah, I mean, with Richarlison already, he's very fast, and that kind of players, you don't know whether he's a striker or winger or attacking midfielder. So or he's number 9, really hard to guess. And I do agree with you, because playing with Henderson, it's different playing with Virgil. But an interesting story to tell you. When he was youth player in Galatasaray, he had a photo with Virgil van Dijk's jersey. As in, he's my hero. And then look where he is now. He can play side to side. Definitely, I agree with you. There are a lot of things to consider when you play center back. You need to keep the line constantly. You need to slide if necessary. You need to cover your right back or left back, whichever position you are in. So it's so early to judge, but especially Turkish center backs now. Çağlar Söyüncü, in Leicester, he's very good. He did have a very shaky start as well when he came first. And also we have Merih Demiral, who plays for Juventus. We are very lucky with this generation. Good choice. We'll have to wait and see. I definitely agree with you. Another question. So to you, how is Newcastle doing right now? I know you are a very keen Newcastle supporter. Yeah. Things haven't exactly improved since I last spoke to you, but I mean, we're unable to sort of put 2 wins back to back together, which, as you know, when you're at the bottom of the league table, it's all about those little runs of form that can keep you above before the end of it, can stop you getting dragged into a relegation battle. Unfortunately, they haven't managed to avoid that. And also the form of Fulham, who are currently just below Newcastle in the table, has improved. Their form's improved dramatically. And as I said about Diagne as well, West Brom's form. West Brom suddenly look a much better team, I think, in the past couple of weeks than they did before. So there is a concern. I mean, we were able to get a fairly healthy points total before Christmas, but now things are looking quite difficult, and we have Manchester United away is our next game, so it's not exactly going to get easier for us. Well, on behalf of Football Biz followers, supporters, viewers, we say all the best to Newcastle. And on the upside, just want to finish this on a positive note. Galatasaray now leading. Obviously, we've been leading for last 2 weeks, and we had a really difficult game we discussed before this program with you against Alanyaspor. And Deandre Yedlin made the assist, which was 53 meters assist. And we were very lucky. I didn't know this. Yeah, we were very lucky. So he's looked okay since signing. I know that he only came on late in the game against Fenerbahçe, but I mean, definitely he needs more games under his belt, in my opinion, because his positioning and a bit of we need a bit of more stamina from him. But I think the more games he plays, the better he will be. So I mean, we will be in touch once again. Jack Lacey, it's been a delight. Thank you ever so much taking the time out of your busy schedule. No, thank you for having me again, Alper. It's a real just pleasure to be here, and like I say, hopefully I'll keep my eye on the Turkish football going forward, but hopefully as well just build up a little bit of the language so that you could save you a job on the subtitles. No problem. Always been a pleasure. Thank you very much. Thank you. Cheers. Bye.